to draw your attention to something else. I want to draw your attention to this XRPN, because I did plenty of videos that addressed and brought people's attention to gold when, as you saw, the price was $1,800. And so that's why I want to draw your attention to this. So let's talk about this.
Check the mic and make sure it sounds right.
And I hope the mic does sound right, but in some prior videos, I brought attention to this article. Evernorth Holdings was to merge with a special purpose acquisition company in a $1 billion deal. That special purpose acquisition company was, in fact, Armada Acquisition. And I covered that story in some of my prior videos. You can see I even covered gold a little bit more to bring it to your attention. But here I'm covering Evernorth's acquisition here and here and here. And I gave some points the same way I gave some points about gold, because as this situation progressed, we saw that they were going to go public with over $1 billion in proceeds. In other words, they were going to hit the ground running. And then as things went on further, we found out that they actually did amass over $1 billion. And they hit the ground running, and they're still running because, according to this article from today, March 19, the XRP Treasury firm Evernorth files the S-4 with the SEC for a $1 billion special purpose acquisition company merger. They are moving. They are not slowing down. And if you'll recall, I did videos. I even did a short on this development, and I brought it to our attention all the way back when it was still AACI, I think the CUSIP symbol was, and you could buy it then, and then when they made the first transition, you automatically received your XRPN stocks. And I asked the question in this one, is it an IPO opportunity for the masses? Well, yes, it was an IPO opportunity for the masses, because now they have filed to go live and public on NASDAQ and become a specialized XRP treasury firm. If authorized, it would provide investors with exposure to XRP through stocks rather than direct token ownership. I say, what's wrong with both? Because I'll tell you the truth, exposure to XRP through stocks is far better than investing in an exchange traded fund. That's debate, quite honestly, I think, for the suckers.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd much rather put my money in Evernorth to have a public ownership of the stock in a company as opposed to an exchange traded fund where you don't really own the asset. And I believe now that I'm talking about it, from the prior video that I did that showed that 151, I think, $1 million outflows was occurring for the exchange traded funds associated with XRP. I believe that those in the know are making the transition that I'm encouraging you to do right now. They're transitioning out of the EFTs, where all those who bought into that hysteria will lose money and have trapped capital, and they're going to come over here and they're going to invest in XRP through public stock or preferred stock of Evernorth, the company. And what's that going to do? That's going to jack the price of that stock up, because the book value alone, when you do the math, I think there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 31 to 31 million shares available. And they're telling us that it's going to be a $1 billion company out the gate. And then, of course, that being said, since it's a treasury company, as the price of XRP goes up, so does the valuation of that company. And so you start out the gate with a stock that you buy now for, I guess, is about $10, $10.30, $10.50. I have to look and see. I don't know. But what I do know is the math alone would make this anywhere from a $27 to $37 stock just on plain book value. How is that not a good idea? And now what we're looking at is them going public on NASDAQ. That happened. It got pulled back. There's a little iffy on there because they have to complete the deal. But it says the parties are targeting gross proceeds of more than $1 billion from the deal. Most of the money is expected to come from the SPAC's trust account, and that trust account was set up specifically for this merger. And once this merger occurs, Evernorth plans to use the net cash mainly to buy XRP on the open market and fund its operations. My short told you back when they said they were going to buy $1 billion worth, that they pretty much had already had 90-some% of it already. So when you get the news, you're getting it kind of late. And when I did the videos about this development,
I mentioned that you might have to hold on to it for up to maybe 5 months before you see something happening. Guess what?
Mhm.
We are literally right at 5 months because I did that video 4 months ago, according to this. And that 4 months ago is probably more closer to 5 months ago. They just wait till the 5th month comes. I think I did it. Well, there's October article. So November, December, January, February, March. That's the month we're in. March. 5 months. And we have developments like these. And that's why I want you to maybe share my videos, like my videos, subscribe to my videos, help other people out. The public shares of Armada would then become shares of the new firm. I don't know why it's talking like this because that sounds like it's going to happen. But what I can tell you from my own experience is that it already has happened. Back when I was recommending it to you to buy the AACI, I did it myself and it did transition to the XRPN. So as I cover some of this information, it's a little bit askew because some of the transitions that they're talking about have already occurred. And I'm absolutely certain of that. But this article here, which is also dated today, it's dated the 19th of March, 2026. And speaking about these developments, it makes a very critical point. It says, moving a step closer to becoming the world's largest publicly traded XRP Treasury company. I'm going to say that again. Becoming the world's largest publicly traded XRP Treasury company. Keep that in mind when this article here says, oh, what happened there? Well, let's just get rid of that. When this article here says, let me find it, the filing estimates that the merged entity will hold at least, minimum, 473 million XRP at launch. Now, about the S4, it's a preliminary registration statement required by the SEC for companies seeking to publicly register shares in connection with a business combination, such as a merger or an acquisition. Now, something else to keep in mind too is that XRPN, as a stock listed, is already trading on the NASDAQ Stock Exchange. So it's the merger that's seeking to occur and be recognized, not the stock. And you can still buy it. It's still not too late, and it hasn't appreciated much despite this news. But some of the information that I brought up in my prior videos and some of the information I'm bringing out in this video, and in fact, the first minute and a half of this video that I'm doing right now was from the past. Book value alone at $1 billion. You see here, 31.6 million shares. And when you divide 31.6 million shares into a valuation of $1 billion, and I'm also going to do the math on XRP here momentarily. But when you divide 31.6 million shares into $1 billion, what you end up with is a share price of $31.65. That's a triple, and that's just strictly book value. Don't forget about supply and demand on something like this. And also don't forget about the price of XRP. Because XRP is currently trading at $1.43. And so at least 437 million. Now keep in mind, like I said, some of this news is old. They had the $1 billion worth of XRP months ago, right around the time they announced the merger. But if you take that $1.43 and you multiply that by the 437 million, you end up with $625 billion. So to have a valuation of $1 billion, they're going to need to either buy more XRP or the price of XRP is going to have to go up. Either way, I say, why not both? Why not own XRP if you can? And why not go and buy yourself some XRP in stock? Because you know it's coming. It's a quasi IPO opportunity for the little guy. In another 5 months, you'll wish you had listened. I hope that you do. I'm DK Will, and this is DK Will Talk About It. And I talked about it. Have a wonderful day.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right.